Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here, and I welcome you all to a very important video which is about the India EU trade deal. I'm sure you might be like, Rachana, we have read a lot about this, but today what we are going to do is that we are going to focus on four key points. Which are these? First, we'll try and understand what is this entire EU India trade deal all about. We'll try and understand it in a very simplified and in a very crisp manner. Okay. Second, many people believe that, okay, now when they saw that handshake, when they saw these photographs, they felt that okay, everything is done and all these tariff cuts will start immediately from tomorrow. Is that really going to happen? Answer is no. There is a specific timeline for the deal to take place, right? So what is the timeline is what we are going to understand. Very important. How is this deal going to benefit India? How will it impact positively, basically? How will it impact Indian sectors is what we are going to understand. And very important, towards the end we'll try and understand which stocks could be in focus because of this India EU trade deal. So video is going to be extremely informative. Keep on watching the video till the end. Everyone knows that the mother of all trade deals, as Ursula von der Leyen, the president of EU, that's what she called it, right? The mother of all trade deals. That was signed on 27th of January 2026. But did this happen overnight? Answer is obviously no. It was signed after 18 to 20 years of negotiations. Now you might be wondering what was the trigger that something which was not signed off for so many number of years, what was the key trigger because of which this entire process was sped up and it got executed in January? I think all credit goes to one person, Mr. Trump, because he was the one who actually started to increase the overall uncertainty across the globe. Everyone knows about his stance on Greenland, and when he said I want Greenland, when European Union opposed that idea, he said okay, European Union, I'm going to impose a tariff of 10% at least on you. So European Union at that point in time understood that in spite of we being allies, in spite we being a part of NATO together, if he is going to if he's going to backfire our decision, if he's not going to stand with us, if he's going to impose tariffs on us, then I think it is time that we find more and more trading partners, is what European Union might have felt. So if not USA, then whom? Or if they were to diversify with whom? Russia? I don't think that is the choice that they would have considered. China? Again, I think a big no. Then a country which they could have definitely have had more confidence on, and I'm very glad that they chose India. So ultimately, after 18-20 years of negotiations, this entire process got a fast track lane, and it got executed. It got a green signal, I can say, on 27th of January 2026. uh, Question is, why did she call this as a mother of all trade deals? Reason is very simple. The size of the deal, it's crazy, right? It accounts for 25% of the global GDP, or if I were to put it in global trade terms, it accounts for almost one third of global trade. That's the reason why it's extremely high. Now, if I were to understand for goods which would go from India to European Union, okay, any goods which are being exported from India to European Union, because of the India EU trade deal, it will eliminate tariffs or give preferential access by way of reduction of tariffs on 99.5% of trade value. So you can imagine, whatever, let's say we are exporting goods worth 100. Out of 100, 99.5 will get a preferential access or eliminated tariffs. Now, is there a breakup for this 99.5%? Answer is yes. 90.7% of Indian exports will go to 0% tariffs immediately. Okay, but wait, that immediately comes with an asterisk. Why am I saying asterisk? We'll talk about the timeline in the next section of the video. But for now, you can understand, as soon as possible, 90.7% of the traded value will be at 0% tariff. 93% roughly will go at, additional 3% will go at a 0% tariff over the next 3 to 5 years, and additional 6% will have a preferential access by way of reduced tariffs. These are the benefits that India will reap. What about European Union? For European Union, India will cut or eliminate taxes on 97.5% of imports by value, mostly through phased reduction. So for them, it's not going to be immediate cut down on tariffs for majority. It will be more of a phased reduction for them. Okay, so now that we have understood who gets what, we should also understand what is the quantum of India EU trade right now. If I were to understand, in total, goods trade accounts for almost 135 to 140 billion dollars annually, and if I'm talking about services trade, it's more than 80 billion dollars annually. See, whenever I use the term trade, it is India exporting to European Union and India importing from European Union put together. That's the trade, right? So it's a big trade quantum that we have with each other. But if I were to understand trade surplus or deficit, till 2019-2020 we were at a break even at a near zero balance, but by 2024-25 we have a trade surplus of $15.2 billion, exports worth roughly $75.9 billion, and imports roughly flat at $60.7 billion. So all in all, has this entire EU India trade deal been a big thing for us? Answer is yes. Question is, when will this actually come into effect? That's what we're going to discuss in the next section of the video. Now let's focus on the timeline. When I said it will happen immediately, it's not actually immediately. Why? Because though the negotiations were concluded on 27th January, now what starts is called as a phase of legal scrubbing. What happens here is that basically you can imagine it's a trade deal between two big countries. I mean, European Union is a full union, right? It has more than 24 countries. So that will not be like a one pager doc. It will be a document which runs into pages. It's said that it has more than 20 chapters, that entire agreement, right? So what will happen is that both party lawyers or legal experts is what I can say, they will again verify the entire trade deal. They'll ensure that there are no ambiguities, there are no linguistic loopholes. Once all these things are done, then a final signature will take place, and this typically is expected to happen in the second half of 2026. Okay, now what happens in 20, I mean, what happens after that? After that, then you can imagine, because it's a entire deal with the European Union, the European Union also has multiple countries which have different official languages. So it will then get translated into their regional languages. So for example, in Portuguese it will be translated, in Spanish it will be translated, right? So all these, it will be translated in multiple languages. It will be then ratified, and ultimately then it will come into force. So it is expected that ultimately it will be finally signed off to the, I mean, complete process ideally should kick in 2027. So when I say immediately, it means 2027 actually. Okay, I hope this is also clear. Now what happens is, from 2027 to 2032, or maybe 2027 to 2035, or even 37, basically over next 3 to 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, some tariffs will go down in a phased manner. Okay, so whenever I'm saying that, currently, let's say if I'm taking example of luxury cars, okay, currently for completely built units, the overall import duty is at 110%. It is expected to drop immediately, that is 2027, to 35 to 40%, and till 2032 it will drop to 10%. So I hope you have understood that entire EU and India trade deal, though has been agreed upon, it will take place effectively in a phased manner. Now comes an important point, that will this trade deal really benefit India or not? 100% yes. Why? See, because we are talking about gaining access to a market which has 450 plus million high income European consumers. Paisa wala consumers. They are, I mean, such a huge number is there in Europe. And if we can actually sell to them at competitive rates, then definitely it's going to be a good sign for us. It will help us to earn more forex, and it will help us to build in more forex reserves as well. What could be the 5 key benefits? Number one, duty free exports. So whenever I'm saying that, let's say for a specific sector, let's say tariff was 10%, and then it comes down to 0%, what will it help us in? It will help us to make our products more competitive. So let's take an example of exporting textiles from India versus exporting textiles from Bangladesh. Currently Bangladesh falls into the LDC category, that's a least developed country. So they get a preferential access, they get 0% duty. But for us, if I'm just giving you an example of textiles, we pay 12% tariffs. Now in that case, is Bangladesh at a benefit as compared to us? Answer is yes. So with such trade deals, we can, our goods can be way more competitive as compared to other nations as well. So that's the first benefit. Second, more job opportunities. Obviously yes, if our goods are more competitive, we'll get more orders. More orders is equal to more production. More production is equal to, we'll require more jobs. And currently one problem that India is facing, and it might aggravate, is nothing but the problem of unemployment if AI were to kick in a big manner. And to tackle this, I think what we have seen in this India EU trade deal is that a lot of importance is being given to labor intensive sectors, so that employment rates also go up. So that would be the second benefit. Third could be reduction in input costs. So basically what would happen is that whenever we are wanting to buy advanced machinery from Europe, let's say, currently they attract a huge tariff. If I'm talking about importing medical equipment, currently attracts a huge tariff. Now, if I am able to import all these high tech machineries at almost much lower tariff or zero tariff, will it reduce the costs for Indian manufacturers as well? Yes. Will it improve productivity? Yes. Will it improve the quality as well? Absolutely yes. So that's a benefit that we would get. Number 4, with all these things, with improved employment opportunities, with more and more of forex, with more and more of advanced technologies that we have, will the FDI confidence automatically boost up? Answer is yes. That's a no brainer, right? And ultimately, of course, for us as well, it will be a diversification of trade risk. Currently, US, what they tried to do with us, they tried to push us back. Thankfully, we did not budge. We tried to defend our key sectors, our core sectors, including agriculture, because of which the trade deal between India and US got delayed. But ultimately, I think it's a very positive move that we have been able to strike trade deals with a lot of other countries, including EU as well, right? So all in all, it's going to be benefiting India a lot. All these benefits that are discussed at a country level will obviously flow at a sectoral level as well, right? So in the next section, we'll talk about which sectors could stand benefited and which stocks can we add to our watch list. Now, this entire discussion will do into a specific flow. First, I'll talk about which sector. Am I going to talk about each and every sector? Answer is no. If you want to have a detailed discussion, if you would have a detailed understanding, I'm going to give you the link of PIB document. You can read entire through and through by yourself. I'm going to give you 8 examples, 8 different sectors, wherein you'll understand the gravity of this trade deal. You'll understand how much European Union imports and how much share India has. You'll be astonished to see the numbers. So first things first, we'll talk about size of European Union's import market. Number 2, we'll talk about how much is India's share in that. Number 3, we'll talk about how much current tariffs we are facing. Number 4, we'll talk about how much tariffs will be imposed post the trade deal. And your favorite point, which are the stocks in those sectors as examples, not as recommendations. All these points we are going to discuss in this section of the video. So let's start with leather and footwear. Current size of EU imports, $100 billion. How much do they import from India? $2.4 billion. That small chunk is India's share. How much is the current tariff? 17%. And post the trade deal, 0%. Right? Stocks in focus. You have to focus here. Here you will find all the stocks. Okay. Not every time I'm going to point out. This is where you're going to see the stock names as well. But again, I'm repeating just as examples, not as recommendations. Next sector is textiles and apparel. Current size of European Union import market, $263.5 billion US. How much is India's share? $7.2 billion. Current tariff 12%. Post trade deal tariff 0%. Stocks. Okay. Next one is chemicals. Chemicals overall size of European Union import market, $500 billion. India's share is not given in the PIB document, so let's skip that for now. Current tariffs that we pay is 12.8%, and it will go down to 0% on 97.5% of goods by value, right? Next one, on to gems and jewelries. Current imports by European Union, $79.2 billion US. India's share, $2.7 billion US. Current tariff 4%, tariff post trade deal 0%. Again, these are the stocks that you can check out. Going to engineering goods, current size of EU imports 2000 billion US. Huge one, right? India's share, any guesses? Less than a percent. It's at $16.6 billion. Current tariff, you will see the reason now. Current tariff 22%. Tariff post trade deal 0%. Now you can see what big opportunity we have here, right? Next one is marine, $53.6 billion as the overall size. Again, India's share less than, you can just see it, $1 billion barely. Current tariffs, you see the reason, 26%, and tariff post trade deal will be 0%. Plastics and rubber, $317 billion overall import size, $2.4 billion only from India. 4 to 26% is current tariff, and post trade deal tariffs will be 0. I hope you're checking out the stocks related to those specific sectors as well, right? Ultimately, going to medical instruments, we don't have the size of import market and India's share in the PIB document, but current tariff is 6.7%. Tariff post trade deal will be 0% on 99.1% of the trade lines. So, of course, these would be the stocks that you would want to check out, right? Ultimately, let's move on to 2 more sectors which I feel have a special mention. One is agricultural sector. The point that I told, this was the sector because of which we were not able to strike a trade deal with USA. And with India-EU trade deal, we we will get a preferential access to something like tea, coffee, spices, fruits, vegetables, processed foods, and because of which, again, our farmers' incomes can improve. We can get a better competitive advantage as well. Extremely important. Our sensitive sectors are going to stay protected. They will get an opportunity to get a balanced growth, right? Stocks in focus, of course, you can see here. And ultimately, it is the IT sector. Why is it important? Because for India, overall revenue that we derive from IT, out of that 16% of our revenue is contributed from the European Union. So EU is India's second largest IT spending market. So it's a very important market. With this India EU trade deal, what are we going to get as a benefit? Number one, reduced compliance barriers, and very important, improved access and mobility for Indian IT professionals. So I'm sure you might have read that whenever Indian IT professionals had to go to USA, they did face a lot of problems with their visa processing renewals and all that. All these barriers will ideally now reduce as far as EU is concerned, right? So all in all, we did check out for a lot of factors. One more mention, I hope you have seen my short YouTube short which I did, or the Instagram reel that I did for cars which were being talked about a lot, be it something like buying a Mercedes or an Audi or whatever. I've done a separate short. I will try and give a link in the I button wherever here. If you can't see that, check out the link in pinned comment and description. So overall, I mean, just to sum this up, the entire intent of this video was to help you understand the key highlights of India EU trade deal. Extremely important, how will it benefit India? Third, which sectors can really benefit, and if sectors get benefited, of course stocks can get benefited. So just wanted to give you a wholesome idea on this in the simplified manner, and I hope you found a lot of value in today's video. If you did, please don't forget to smash the like button. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye bye. You might have come across such advertisements on various social media platforms. Please note, all of these are fraudsters promising unbelievable returns through stock tips. I don't provide any calls or advisory services. I provide only educational content through my social media handles and through my website rachanaranade.com and rachanaranade.in.